There you go, the views of some of you talking to our reporter Will Burton. But what more, of anything, can social media giants do to prevent abuse and harassment of individuals on their platforms? Professor Kevin Curran is a technology expert at Ulster University. Good afternoon, Kevin.
Good afternoon, Teresa.
First of all, a really good point raised there on anonymous accounts, that you shouldn't be able to hide behind a faceless account. It's one thing to have an opinion or a difference of opinion, and then a very different thing to threaten life and limb.
Exactly. One thing at the moment is it's just too easy to set up online accounts on social media. And the second problem is the punishments are not severe enough. So, okay, we can address the punishments, of course, but how do you really deal with the anonymity? Because really there is no internet ideal. There just is no centralized ID, because the internet is multi-jurisdictional and you would have to agree with different governments. And then how do you enforce that? How do you really enforce an ID for the internet, really? Which would go to solving some of the problems, but people would get around that. But at the moment, until we have a solution, which is by no means non-trivial, we really have to we have to put the onus back in the social media companies, of course, to do as much as they can to review content.
And do you think it's a fair criticism levelled at social media when it comes to something like this and the death of Sir David Amess?
It's easy to blame Facebook for everything. Look, if Facebook were dissolved tomorrow, another company would take its place, which would become the dominant social media network. Okay, because it's just there is anti-Semitism all over Facebook, but Mark Zuckerberg is Jewish. Do you think he wants that? Do you think he doesn't want to remove that? But there is so much content posted online, and it really is to do with flagging it. How do people find it? Yes, they have algorithms that control through it, but we're talking about 200 languages worldwide and moderations and then content. And the bigger picture is feature creep. If we also give Facebook the power to moderate and do all these other things, what can they also do and restrict? And can they become the censor for the internet? So that is something which is always lurking behind the scenes for people who are involved in privacy.
And to have a difference of opinion, as we've been saying, is one thing, but to then to verbally threaten someone with physical violence is just unacceptable, isn't it, really? What protections is there in place for someone, Kevin, who feels that their life or their safety is at risk?
I mean, of course, they can flag it to Facebook and they can bring it to the police authorities as well, which will try their best. But they're snowed under. The police authorities are snowed under because online crime is so complex and slow. You have to get warrants, you have to deal with companies in different parts, and you have to prove who you are. It's really, really difficult for the police departments to deal with any of this, unless really that they're high profile and literally that their life is really in danger again. We know the majority of people just spout off on these things again, but we also have to figure out what constitutes hate speech again and how quickly can it be removed and who oversees these regulations. But of course, we are bringing pressure on the social media groups because they do have a responsibility in society. Hate speech existed for many years and will exist long after the internet probably is plugged out. But of course, we have to do something in the meantime to protect, innocent people.
Okay, well, some really good points raised there. Thanks for speaking to us. On the News at One, Professor Kevin Curran there from Ulster University.